Okay, on the injury front, Jed has a ankle injury. We'll see how he progresses throughout the week. I feel about the same as I felt yesterday. Disappointed we couldn't get it done. You have to play clean football to win on the road against a good opponent. We finished -2 in the turnover margin, and you're not going to be able to win a close game when you do that. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Coach. The first question will be from Tom Withers.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. As far as Jedrick, does it look like weeks, or are you optimistic that this might not be as bad as you maybe thought?
Yeah, I'm going to say, Tom, he's day to day.
Okay. Yesterday, Kevin, there were a lot of highs and some lows. As far as like poise down the stretch, is that more of an experience thing, do you think, or do you feel like your team maybe should have performed a little bit better when it mattered most?
Yeah, Tom, I'd say we have high expectations for ourselves. You're going to have to play a 60-minute game. All these plays matter, 1 through 65, however many plays you get. So we got to be able to play clean football, and that's really for 60 minutes versus any opponent in the NFL.
Thank you, Tom. Scott Petrick is next.
Hey, Kevin. Did you go back and watch the Ronnie Harrison play? And if so, what was your reaction and what do you say to him?
Yeah, I did watch it, Scott. I talked to Ronnie. It's the oldest thing in football and in sport. The game officials always see the second guy, and Ronnie's got to show some poise there and not retaliate.
Do you think there should be punishment for the assistant coach that pushed him first?
Yeah, Scott, I'm just going to concern myself with our players and our team.
Thanks.
Hey, Scott, Jeff Shadell, you have our next question.
Hey, Kevin, do you think that Jamie Gillen panicked a little bit there? Could he have gotten that punt off, even if it would not have been a good one? Could he have kicked that ball?
Yes, he could have, Jeff, and he knows that. We talked to him about it in the moment, talked to him about that today. Obviously, he knows he has a job to do. We expect him to do his job at a high level, and if something like that happens, you need to just pick the ball up and punt it, and he knows that.
Thanks, Jeff. Mary Kay Cabot is next.
Kevin, can you just kind of assess Baker's whole day? I mean, he started out so strong. He did some really nice things, was super accurate. And then, what happened at the end, and what was your view on, did you think he was trying to throw it away, and how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, Mary Kay, as you know, there's always good and bad that goes with every game, and there was a lot of good, and Baker did a nice job, in a lot of the operation of what we're doing in a tough environment. Ultimately, he knows he has to take care of the rock and has to throw it away there. I know he was trying to throw it away, but has to find a way to get an incompletion for us. Again, he's very hard on himself. He works at this very, very hard. So there's plenty of plays that I want back, and I know there's from myself, from a play caller, and there's plenty of plays I know that every single one of our players wants back, and that's just the nature of this beast. We got to learn from it and get better because of it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Marla Ridenour, you're up.
Yeah, Kevin, I just want to ask you about finishing the game. Is it a matter of detail? I know you say you have to learn from it, but what do you think it is a little more going down that path?
Yeah, Marla, I'd tell you it's a lot of little things that add up to be a big thing. And it's simple alignment, assignment, technique. Again, schematically, what we're asking our players to do. It's our job to put our players in position to succeed. And sometimes we as coaches fall short. Sometimes it's just as simple as an alignment, assignment, or technique error. With all of that, you need to play clean football. And you got to do it for 60 minutes, whether it says first, second, third, or fourth quarter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Nate Ulrich, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin, how did Chris Hubbard do there stepping in for Jedrick, and would Chris continue to be your left tackle in the event Jed doesn't make it back for the next game?
Yeah, Nate, I thought Hub had some good moments. I mean, as you guys know, we've called on him in the past to play right tackle, in this case, left tackle. He's played inside for us. That's the nature of being that sixth man. So he performed admirably. if Jed were not to be able to go, he would be the guy that would be in there.
Thank you, Nate. Dale Ryder, you're up.
Hey, Kevin, did you come away from that game? I realize it's a results-based business. You win, you lose. But did you come away from that game feeling better about your team as far as just the big overall picture, how they played? If you clean up those minor mistakes, that's a game you win?
No.
And then I want to ask you about Odell and the not playing him. I'm guessing that that was your call. How close is he? And do you just plan to take a real conservative approach with him?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a conservative approach, Daryl. We're just trying to be, appropriate with all of this. And ultimately, he's coming off of a major surgery, and we're going to work through it day by day. And when he's ready to play, he'll play.
Thanks.
Thank you, Daryl. Matt Fontana has our next question.
Yeah, Kevin, I think the stats said you guys were able to pressure Mahomes almost half of his dropbacks in the first time seeing Jadeveon Miles out there. Is there any positive to take away of that, or does it not matter because they only got him on the ground the one time?
Yeah, I think we just have to be very honest and transparent with the players and our assessment of the game. And that's what the coaches are meeting on as we speak, and point out each play, what we did well, what we could have done differently, because whether you win, lose, or draw, you have to learn from these things. And that's what we're working on very hard right now.
And then I know it's really a tough question, but just how hard is it with Tyreek Hill when again, Mahomes seems to be down, and it's even 3 seconds, he's down the field so fast. Is looking back on it, and I know it's hindsight, is there anything you could have done better to limit Hill?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a tall task to slow their offensive players down, and we have a tremendous amount of respect for those guys. But we have to be better. We have to be able to find a way to slow them down. You're not going to stop an offense like that. I think everybody knows that, but we got to find a way to slow them down. And again, not to take anything away from them.
Thanks, Matt. Back to Tom Withers.
Thanks, Rob. Excuse me. Matt just stole my question. They are a handful. Kevin, were you satisfied though that you guys were scheming them up right? Did you feel like you were, pressing when you need to, and playing back when you needed to?
Yeah, Tom, I just tell you, it's you look at it and there's plenty of things we wish we could have done differently. But then there's also moments that, we got to just make a play, find a way to get off the field, find a way to slow them down. So it's as you know, it's never one thing. And that's why we need to identify the things that we can do better, the things that we can improve upon, because all of these plays they continue to show up. That's how the NFL works. When a play shows up and it hurts your defense, it's going to show up the next week in a copycat league.
And that was kind of baptism by fire for JOK. How do you think Jeremiah did in his NFL debut?
Yeah, I think he had some good moments. There's a ton that he needs to clean up, but he played fast, and he's going to work at it. I know that, and that's kind of how it goes for rookies. It's you want to constantly get better throughout the season.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Tom. Scott Petrick is next.
Hey, Kevin, Malik McDowell, how did you think he looked in his first action in a long time?
I thought he did a really nice job. You saw in the very first play of the game, was disruptive, made a play. We're counting on him to be that type of guy. So I thought he did a nice job.
And we've talked about him, throughout camp, but how impressive is it that he was able to be out there for the number of snaps and taking the first one with you guys after, everything he's been through?
Yeah, Scott, he's worked at it, and we've talked about it. He's been through a lot, but since he's been here on campus, the guy works. He does a nice job in the meeting room, the weight room, out on the grass. He takes this very seriously.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Mary Kay Cabot, we'll go to you.
Yeah, Kevin, just wondering, how much did it hurt you to lose Ronnie so early in the game like that? And I see that the league isn't planning on suspending him, but do you maybe feel the need to send a strong message to your football team that that kind of lack of discipline won't be tolerated on your team, and maybe do something more on your end?
Yeah, those type of things, Mary Kay, we'll keep internal, but obviously it's disappointing when you lose a starter after 5 plays.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Fred Greetham will have our next question.
Hey, Coach, I was going to ask you about McDowell, but also Anthony Schwartz, his first time. He missed a lot of preseason or training camp. How did he grade out, or how did he do in that first game?
Yeah, I thought it was positive overall for Anthony in his first NFL game. And I just think to all these rookies, guys playing for the first time, they're going to grow in their roles. They're going to get better. But I thought that was a good start for Anthony.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. PJ Ziegler, go ahead.
Thanks, Rob. Kevin, third downs yesterday, both sides of the football, especially there in the second half. Is there something you could do besides execution to help your team stay on the field on offense and obviously on the defensive side of the football in terms of getting it off the field?
Yeah, PJ, it's always more than just execution. When you say execution, you're just putting it all on the players. So it's all of us take a share in the success of this thing. All of us take a share in the blame of this thing. So we do have to find a way to get off the field on third and fourth downs when it comes up. And then offensively, we got to be better on third down. Now, when you add the fourth downs to it, obviously on third and fourth down, it looks a little bit better. So I thought the guys performed decent there, but we got to make a play in those critical areas.
And what do you say about the snowball effect there in the second half? It seemed like when Nick Chubb fumbled, then shortly after that, you had the special teams blunder. And then shortly after that, you had the interception. How do you prevent it from becoming a snowball effect like that and not allowing one mistake to trickle down to become 2, 3, and 4 mistakes?
Yeah, I think, we have to be a resilient bunch, and these 60-minute games, something's going to happen that doesn't go your way, and you got to respond to it. And I think we have the right guys to make sure to in this building that will respond when something happens in those games, because it's going to happen again this week and the week after that. You're not going to play the perfect 60-minute game, and they got to be ready to respond when things don't go our way.
Thank you.
Thanks, PJ. Anything else for Coach? Back to Mary Kay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. One more follow-up question on Ronnie, if you don't mind. I've been trying to look at the film a little bit, and it looked like the coach may have been, reacting to what he thought was Ronnie perhaps intentionally stepping on the player. When you looked at that, did you think that was just incidental, kind of trying to get out of there? Or did you think there was something more to that?
Yeah, Mary Kay, again, I can only worry about my players and my team. But I do think that any contact that came from Ronnie was incidental. If you watch the tape, it's pretty obvious that he's getting collisioned as he's trying to get off of their boundary. So it does not excuse him from retaliating. You can't do that. That's something we all know, that the game officials will see the second guy, not the first guy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. We're going to take two more. Tom Withers, Scott Patrick. Tom.
Thanks, Rob. Kevin, back to Odell for a second. I did a bad job of following up on the contact component on Friday. Is that part of this here in terms of the appropriate approach, that he either needs to have some contact, whether you can simulate it in practice or not? Is that a big hurdle here?
No, I wouldn't call it. I just say the natural progression of rehab, Tom, is just getting ready to play football. We're not doing anything live in our practices, but we'll just work through appropriately based on the medical staff, based on Odell, and he'll be ready when he's ready.
Did you think he was going to be a go up until a couple hours before game time?
We listed him as questionable, which is 50-50. So we knew we had a plan, and we made sure that he worked out pregame. And again, he wasn't ready, but when he's ready, he will play.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Final question for Coach goes to Scott Patrick.
Kevin, Miles got the 2 offside penalties. He said he didn't think either of them was a good call. First of all, did you think they were good calls?
Doesn't matter. They called him.
And he said he would continue to be aggressive even if that happens, because he thinks it's necessary and part of his game, and he doesn't want the calls to slow him down. Do you agree with that mindset?
Yeah, we have a mindset as a defensive line that we want to get off the ball. Teams are going to constantly use the snap count, particularly when they're at home. They will always use a snap count against our front, Miles in particular, because they're going to use it as a weapon against him. So he's got to be disciplined in his approach while obviously still maintaining that ability to really get off on the snap.